What if I told you that $1,000 a month in Southeast Asia could buy you more comfort, freedom, and peace of mind than $3,000 does in the US? That might sound crazy until you've actually lived it. I've rented full apartments for $100, eaten out for $2, and walked to the beach before work, all while spending less than what most people just pay for rent. I've lived in Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, and I've traveled through over a dozen other countries, and I can tell you this lifestyle isn't just a loophole. It's a real option. Welcome to the Meds Travel Channel, where I share firsthand my experiences living overseas. If you've ever thought about escaping the American grind for something simpler, cheaper, and healthier, this might be the video that shifts your perspective. Let's get into it. Let's start in the US. Suppose you're making $3,000 a month after taxes. That's a pretty average income, especially for someone working remote job, a gig economy job, or even someone just getting by on middle average Social Security. Now let's break that down. Rent $1,000 to $1,800 a month depending on where you live, and that's for something basic. Car payment around $350 or more. Gas, insurance, and maintenance add another $200 to that figure. Health insurance $300 to $500 if you're self-employed or early retired. Groceries $400 easy unless you're meal prepping or eating ramen every night. Phone and internet, let's say $150 together, and we haven't even talked about things like eating out, hobbies, or really anything fun. So you're working full-time, maybe even more than full-time, and most of your money is going to just survive, not thrive, and at the end of the month, maybe you're putting $100 into savings, if that. And what kind of life are you living? You wake up, you sit in traffic, you work 8 or 9 hours, you get home, order DoorDash because you're too tired to cook, binge a show, and you go to bed. It's a hamster wheel. And for a lot of people, it never stops. But when I moved overseas, I had this realization. You're not broke, you're just living in the wrong place. And even if you cut back, let's say you don't drive much. Maybe you live with roommates. Maybe you cook at home. It still feels like you're patching holes in a sinking ship all the time. When I lived in Tennessee, my rent alone was $1,000. Add health insurance, gas, groceries, I was working 50 hours a week just to stay afloat while in school. And for what? A one-bedroom apartment that I was never at and I didn't even like. That kind of pressure wears on you over time. It makes you feel like you're failing even when you're doing everything right. Now, let's take that same $1,000 and drop it into, say, Vietnam, Cambodia, or northern Thailand. Let's start with housing. In a place like Da Nang or Siem Reap, you can rent a furnished studio or one-bedroom apartment with Wi-Fi, a private bathroom, maybe even a balcony. It'll run you about $150 to $250 a month. Not a shared room, not a hostel, your own place. In Kuala Lumpur, I rented a 3-bed, 2-bath for $350 a month and even did a full apartment tour of it. I'll throw a link to that in the description and the pinned comment below. In Cambodia, I lived in apartments for $100. That one was a studio, sure, but they were clean, safe, and walkable to everything I needed. Now, let's talk food. If you eat like a local, which is honestly better tasting and healthier, you're looking at $2 or less per meal. Street food, market stalls, or even a small sit-down place. A full plate of rice, grilled meat, vegetables, and soup, $1.50. Fresh fruit smoothies, $1. Local coffee with milk, 50 cents to $1. If you want to cook at home, it's even cheaper. Markets sell vegetables, eggs, tofu, and rice for next to nothing. You can eat well for $4 a day or less. Transportation, no car needed. A bike is often free or cheap. I borrowed mine from my landlord in Cambodia. Motorbike rental, $60 a month, gas included. Tuk-tuks or grab rides, usually $1 to $2 across town. No car payments, no insurance, no traffic tickets, no parking stress. I remember in Siem Reap, I had a daily routine that cost me next to nothing. I'd bike 5 minutes to a quiet cafe with outdoor seating, order a $1 iced coffee, work for a few hours, and then ride to the gym that had $1 entry. No traffic, no parking garages, no dealing with surprise bills or tolls. And if something broke in my apartment, the landlord fixed it the same day. No $150 service fee. No, we'll get back to you next month. Now here's where it gets interesting. It's not just that things are cheaper, it's that the lifestyle feels different. In the US, being frugal often means living without. But in Asia, that same budget can actually buy you time. Time to breathe, time to enjoy your meals, time to meet people from all around the world. In Vietnam, I had slow mornings with iced coffee and a banh mi for $1. I'd walk to the beach or go to the gym, go do some work, and then head to a night market for dinner. My expenses around $700 a month. And I was living well, not luxurious, but not struggling for everything either. I had everything I needed: privacy, safety, great food, sunshine, and plenty of time. And that time opens you up. You start noticing little things again. The way the light hits the street in the morning, the smell of lemongrass from the food stalls, the sound of kids playing outside outside while you sip your coffee. These aren't luxury experiences, but they are human ones, and they're hard to find when you're exhausted all the time. Back in the US, $3,000 a month often wasn't enough to cover the basics without stress. But overseas, $1,000 stretched far enough to give me real freedom and peace of mind. Now, I want to be honest, this lifestyle isn't for everybody. You'll need to adjust your mindset. Don't expect Amazon. Don't expect Amazon Prime. Don't expect everyone to speak English. Don't expect the DMV to make sense, if it even exists. There will be bugs, there will be language barriers, and sometimes the Wi-Fi just cuts out randomly. But there's a trade-off here. You're paying less and getting more freedom, more mental space, more free time, more opportunity to explore who you are outside of your job title. You also have to be respectful of the countries you're in. You're a guest. You're not some king. Blend in, stay curious, and learn a few words in the local language. If you do that, people are incredibly welcoming here. Now more than ever, people are looking for a way out of debt, out of burnout, out of that feeling that you're always behind no matter how hard you go and work. But maybe you're not the problem. Maybe the system is. There's this idea that if you leave the US, you're running away. But I think it's the opposite. You're choosing to stop running in circles. You're stepping off the treadmill and asking yourself, what kind of life do I actually want? And that's not quitting. That's taking ownership of your daily life. What if instead of chasing the American dream until you're 65, you could start over now in a place where $1,000 actually gets you a good life? A lot of people are doing it. Retirees, digital nomads, teachers, YouTubers, even just people taking a year off from the stress. And if that voice in your head says, I could never do that, trust me, I used to think the same thing. But here I am, not rich, not retired, just a guy who decided to live intentionally instead of expensive. So does $1,000 go further in Southeast Asia than $3,000 in the US? For me, 100% yes. It's not about cutting corners, it's about cutting waste. It's about designing a life that actually feels good to live, not just one that looks good on paper. I'm not saying this life is for everyone, but I am saying it's out there. And if you've ever wondered if there's another way, there is. If this video helped you or made you think differently, I'd appreciate a like or a comment. If you're thinking about trying this yourself, drop any questions below. I always try to respond to each one. If you're thinking of making videos like this yourself, I'll drop a link below to the mic I use. It's cheap, solid, and just works with a few features I haven't seen on really any other mics. Thanks for watching the Meds Travel channel, and I'll see you in the next one.